Welcome everyone in virtual land to the June committee meeting of the Committee of Adjustment. Is there any conflict of interest do any of you wish to declare for the meeting tonight? Seeing none, can I have a mover and a seconder for the May 17th meeting? Moved by Bill, seconded by Peter. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Alicia, do we have any business from the last meeting or correspondence?
We do not, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The procedure tonight will remain the same as previous meetings. The county planner will give her report on each and every application. I will then ask if the applicant wishes to speak to the application after she finishes. I will then ask those in favor of the application to speak, and I will then ask those opposed to the application to speak, and then the matter goes to the committee for resolution. First application tonight is 181 Tamarack Boulevard. Andrew, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Andrew. Welcome back. All right, Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So the first application tonight is a minor variance, and it's to facilitate in-ground pool and accessory structure. I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, so this application is to reduce the rear yard depth from 5 meters to 2 meters. And you can see along here, this is basically identified as it's a hedgerow that's part of a larger natural feature system that's the majority of it falls on the Upper Thames land. So the committee may recall, this is for lands at 181 Tamarack Boulevard. And so as the committee may recall, this application came before you last month. This is a supplementary report that we've prepared for your consideration. The applicant last month their application was deferred in order to allow them time to go back and have an arborist report undertaken, and that was under the recommendation of the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. And so the applicant has gone ahead and prepared or had a professional prepare an arborist report. The arborist report was generally supportive of the application. They identified 5 trees in the catchment area, all of which fall on the Upper Thames land. One of the trees would be identified as the closest and would have the greatest amount of impact occur to it. However, the arborist report felt that the excavation to facilitate a swimming pool would be fairly minimal to that one tree. And so generally staff were supportive of the application, as we don't feel that there will be a significant impact on the natural feature in the area. The Parks Department indicated that they were not entirely in agreement with the arborist report. However, they are supportive of reducing that minimum setback or that rear yard depth from 5 meters to 2.5 meters. And so the applicant had proposed that it go down to 2 meters, and the Parks Department thought that 2.5 meters would be more appropriate. They also included a number of conditions, and I can go through those quickly. So the one condition is that there would be tree protection fencing around the trees that need to be protected at the time of construction. The second condition is that a $5,000 deposit be taken, and it would be given to the City Parks Department, and they would hold it for 5 years. And that would be taken at the time of construction. And basically those monies would be held. They would be held and given back to the applicant in 5 years if there is no damage that had taken place to any of the trees. So basically any sort of damage that could occur to the trees that would kill them, and that City Parks would have to go in and remove trees or whatever, that $5,000 would go towards those costs. And if at the end of 5 years there's no problems, then the applicant would get that money back. The Parks Department also recommended that the pool be oriented in such a way that the shallow end is at the west end of the property and the deep end being at the east end. And then also all the plumbing and jets be on the north side. And then that would just help to minimize any sort of impact on those trees in the area. And then finally, the Parks Department indicated that if the pergola is to be constructed, that it be constructed as per this drawing. And this drawing is not the greatest, but that was their recommendation. And so planning and building staff reviewed the comments, we reviewed the arborist reports, and we are supportive of the application subject to the 4 conditions that have been included.
Thank you, Andrea. Andrew, you have a positive planning report tonight. Do you wish to speak?
I do. I just have one comment and one concern, if I'm allowed to present.
Go ahead.
So good evening, Chair, councillors and city staff. I'd like to thank all parties who are involved in this process and multiple revisions to this variance. My family is extremely grateful for your decision. One comment in regards to the submitted variance was a 3-meter encroachment, as Andrea already stated. With the recommended 2.5 meter setback, a 16-foot wide pool will not fit due to my stairs coming down off my porch. That means a custom pool will have to be designed to accommodate the 2.5 meter setback. The concern I have is for the condition of the $5,000 deposit. There's 2 reasons. First, I've already incurred a cost close to $4,000 in expenses to this point. And most importantly, the report from the certified arborist states that there's significant gypsy moth present, leaf chewing, which is the trees are already in decline. So I feel that I'm going to be held accountable within those 5 years if something happens to them. Even though the certified arborist report states that installing a pool has little to no effect of install. I'd just like to share a photograph with you all right now. So here's the current condition of the 2 of the trees. Can you all see this?
Yes.
And then, 32 feet away, this is what the back of my house looks like. And this wasn't even the worst condition. So we have a huge gypsy moth problem. As you can see, I've tried to duct tape around them to try to prevent it killing the trees already from eating the leaves. Half the leaves are already chewing and disposed. So I just feel that as a homeowner and with the costs already that I feel I'm going to be held accountable if something happens to these trees.
Andrew, I would suggest you document each and every year so you have a full dossier of support for Parks Department.
Okay.
Let's move ahead. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against this application? Hearing no one, it comes back to the committee for a resolution. The recommendation calls for approval with 4 conditions. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Bill, seconded by Howard. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor? All in favor? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Andrew. It takes effect in 20 days. Next application is 116 Wilson Street, Oxford Builders. Is George Geerlings here online? I guess not. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So this application is for a minor variance at 116 Wilson Street. The applicant is requesting to reduce the minimum lot area, the minimum lot frontage, and the minimum required lot depth. And basically what they are proposing is to reduce the frontage and area to facilitate the construction of a semi-detached dwelling in place of a single detached dwelling, which has already been removed from the subject property. The applicant is, and as you can see, the frontage requirements and the area requirements are different for each side of the semi because it's based on a corner lot. And so what our department has done is we've prepared a recommendation, and sorry, the building department has as well. We've prepared a recommendation so that the applicants can go forward in the future once the semi has been constructed. They can go forward and further sever that parcel. And so you'll notice that we've provided relief for each side of each of the units. And then with respect to the minimum lot depth, as you can see, the lot is slightly deficient. It should be 28 meters, whereas they're providing 27.47 meters. And that's just the nature of the property. It's an existing lot of record. And so because they're proposing a change from a single detached dwelling to a semi-detached dwelling, we're recognizing that reduced relief. So the building department reviewed the application and they are supportive of the application. They feel that the required yards can still be maintained despite the request for their requested relief. They also feel that adequate parking can be provided on the site, and based on that, they were supportive of the application. The subject lands are zoned R2, and they permit semi-detached dwellings in that zoning. And generally speaking, aside from the requested relief, the application or the proposed development meets the minimum requirements of the R2 zoning provision. So with respect to lot coverage, and then the setbacks, the rear yard setback and the front yard setbacks, as well as the side yard setbacks, the site can provide all that space for the semi-detached dwelling. So generally speaking, staff are supportive of this application. We feel that it's in keeping with the official plan as it is a form of infill and intensification. The applicants are able to provide adequate space for maintenance, grading, drainage, landscaping, and off-street parking. And based on that, we recommend that this application be given favorable consideration.
Thank you, Andrea. George not being here, I'll then ask if there's anyone online wishing to speak for the application. Is there anyone online wishing to speak against this application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the planning report? Moved by Peter, seconded by Bob. Questions, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, carried. Last application is for 830 Maple Avenue. Kim, are you online, or Richard?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Kim. Andrea, go ahead.
So the final application tonight is for minor variance. And what was initially applied for was to reduce the front yard depth from 9 meters to 2.36 meters to facilitate a covered porch on the subject property. However, upon staff review, it was determined that the relief was required from 2.36 to actually 2.2 meters. And then it was further determined from staff that the more appropriate relief that would need to be approved in order to issue a building permit would be to increase the maximum projection permitted into the front yard from 1.5 meters to 3.1 meters, and then also to reduce the minimum required setback between the projection of the front lot line from 3.5 meters to 2.2 meters. And then that would facilitate the proposed covered porch. Staff are satisfied that no further circulation is required as the intent of the application hasn't changed. So basically the applicant is proposing this covered porch and they need relief to facilitate it. And so we don't feel that further circulation or further public notification is required. The city building department reviewed the application and they are satisfied that the proposal can go forward and that it can be supported. The property is located in the R1 zone, which permits single detached dwellings, and the covered porch would be part of the single detached dwelling. So we feel that it's in keeping with the the intent of the official plan. And then as per the zoning bylaw, staff are satisfied that adequate space can still be maintained for parking as well as grading, drainage. Generally, when there's encroachment in the front yard, we always make sure too that there's adequate space to maintain sight lines for vehicles up and down the street. And based on the fact that this is there's a curve in the street, we don't feel that there's any concerns related to that. Additionally, we still feel that adequate parking can be provided on the site. And then also the covered porch will not impact the normal maintenance of the road. And in light of that, we feel that the application can be given favorable consideration as well.
Thank you, Andrea. Kim, you have a positive planning report. You need not speak unless you wish.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against this application? Hearing no one comes back to the committee, can I have a mover and a second to approve the application? Moved by Bill, seconded by Glenn. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous again, carried. I think there's a 20-day waiting period before you can begin construction, but the application is approved. The only item of business is adjournment. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn, please? Moved by Bill, seconded by Glenn. All in favor? Carried. We'll see you next month.